The Racing Postcast in association with Paddy Power. They stream all UK and Irish racing live on your mobile, tablet or PC.
Well, welcome to the Racing Postcast. I'm Ed Quigley. I'd say I'm joined by betting editor Paul Keeley. On the line, we've got our Irish correspondent David Jennings, very kindly from Paddy Power, Frank Hickey, for a look at the weekend's action and more. Fun and gents, it's a cracking weekend of fun, put it that way. And we'll come to you first, Frank. The Charlie Hall Chase is obviously taking high prominence amongst the racing this weekend. And how are you shaping up the market there?
Yeah, we're 8-13 Q Card, 11-2 Black Lion, 9-1 Virac, 10-1 Menorah and Dinast, and 16-1 Bart.
Have you been seeing any money for anything else other than Q Card? Or have you been seeing a lot of money for Q Card? Is it a case you just, want to kind of block him out from taking bets, really?
Yeah, no, we've seen a few quick Q Card, but we were seeing a little bit of money a couple of days ago for Virac, but other than that, it's been quite enough. So Virac's the only one against Q Card so far.
Paul, I mean, is it a case of Q Card jumps rounds and he wins, or do you see the propensity of a bit of an upset?
Unless there's anything wrong with him, he should do. He's a lot. Even giving £10 to some of them and weight to most. His official rating tells you the story, doesn't it? He's rated 176. The next best is 162, and that's Menorah off level weights. Now Menorah's obviously won this race before and can go well fresh and will like the fast ground. But if Q Card is the same horse as he was last year for all but his final race, then they've really got their work cut out. Yeah, indeed.
I mean, would you be getting involved in this race in any
shape
or form?
I don't bet odds on. I mean, I'll just shout him home. I can half sort of understand the money for Virac because he's still young. He is, he's getting £10. He is probably, the next best on the figures when you bring all the weights into account. But now there's only 7 runners. There's no, there's only each way first two. I couldn't really get excited about a bet on anything.
DJ, come to you. Anything? Any angle in for you on the Charlie Hall Chase?
Yeah, very negative start there from Paul. A bit like last week. Look, I think he got it in one there, to be honest, because if Q Card is 80% of what he's capable of, he'll probably win this. You'd have to be a little bit worried about the run in Punchestown last year, which was very, very flat. But look, it was at the end of a very long, hard season, and he'd done very little wrong up to that point. I do think Menorah is the danger. He won the race 2 years ago, and even reading Philip Hobbs' stable tour and all he said about Menorah, it seems to be that this horse has just been completely geared towards 2 races that year, and that's the race he always seems to win at Sandown at the end of the year, and this race, which he won 2 years ago, because he's kind of forgetting about the middle part of the season. He's 11 now, so he probably has to pick and choose his races, and I would imagine that he's probably the only horse in the race that's been trained for this race. This is essentially Menorah's Gold Cup. He's got his ground, he likes the track, he goes well fresh, so everything is in Menorah's favour, but it's a case of Q Card performing well below his best for Menorah to win. I would be interested in backing Menorah without Q Card. As Paul said, the 7 runners is a bit of a killer. But if Q Card doesn't win, I think Menorah will be the one to pick up the pieces. And I'd be very, very surprised if any of the other 5 won.
Would you make a Black Lion, Keels? I mean, the most unexposed runner in the field.
Well, yeah, I mean, a remarkably tough horse last year. I was very surprised that he managed to win the RSA on the back of what was a really long season for him, especially as he didn't hold his form the previous season. But, he was a remarkably tough horse, and he is. But an official mark of 154 tells you that last year's novices, are probably not a vintage bunch on the form they've shown so far. They're all entitled to improve, of course. They're only 7, Q Card's 10, pushing 11. But he's got a huge amount to do in receipt of £5. I mean, he would be getting 22 in a handicap.
That RSA Chase, I'd have serious question marks about the form. I think the race completely fell apart. More of that didn't run his race whatsoever. No More Heroes died. Shane's Hill was hammered in America afterwards and is a little bit of an enigma. Vita de Rock, I just think it was a shocking race, and it was the one day I think that was his day. I'll make a statement now that I'll probably get given out to. And
come on.
I'd be surprised if Black Lion won any sort of a race this year.
Sounds like
because I think he falls. I tell you, I think he falls in. He falls into that category of the Boston's Angel who won the race, the RSA a couple of years ago for Jessica Harrington. I just think he was a good novice and a rock solid novice, and he's a really likeable horse. I actually really like him, but I just think he's going to have to be campaigned as a Grade 1 horse this year. And I just don't think he is a Grade 1 horse. I just don't see where he is going to fit in this year. I don't think he's good enough to win any Grade 1. So I think he's going to be very, very hard to place. I hope Nigel Twiston-Davies not listening to this either.
Well, coming up at 2:45, of course, we've got the West Yorkshire Hurdle. Paul, you've been having a nightmare with this race, and mainly around Saffield Row this week, yeah?
God, yeah. I mean, you wouldn't believe it. I got so excited on Monday night looking at Saffield Row in a race at Ascot. I thought a handicap mark of 152. I filed my copy for the weekend on Tuesday morning, and literally an hour later, up comes this press release from Wetherby Racecourse with quotes from Andy Stewart saying Saffield Row, almost certain to go for the West Yorkshire Hurdle. Now, at the time I thought Silsall was the bet of the day at Wetherby, but I ended up jumping off it and tipping Saffield Row, assuming Silsall, Paul Nicholls' trained stable mate, won't be going. And here we go. Saffield Row is at Ascot and Silsall's at Wetherby. I mean, thankfully we can still have a bet now. But anyone
silly season started
anyone
already.
I've put away in the weekend, I apologise to, but there wasn't much I could do. Now, for me, this is a really fascinating race. You've got Nigel Twiston-Davies, Ballyoptic, who was really, really progressive last year. And he's one of those deceptively good horses that just keeps on finding more, whatever he comes up against. But we need to put it into context. He won a handicap last time at Chepstow by a length and a quarter off a mark of 148. So he's gone up to 152. He's giving £4 to Silsall, who is rated 158. So, in other words, he's £10 worse off than he would be in a handicap. Silsall has won first time out for the last 2 seasons. His best form is undoubtedly on softer ground.
Yeah.
But his second last year at Petit Zig on Racing Post ratings is not a million miles off. Over a trip that was, arguably short of his best, 2 mile 5.5. And in a race that was probably an afterthought, given that Nicholls was throwing everything at trying to win the Trainers' Championship. So, I think on his best form, Silsall, best horse in the race, getting weight from a short price favourite. I just can't miss him.
Okay, Frank, Kills, you're looking to get a bet on Silsall there. I mean, how are we going for the market for this one?
Silsall's 13-2, but we're 13-8 Ballyoptic, 4-1 if in doubt, 13-2 Little Rockefeller, 13-2 Silsall, as I said earlier, 7-1 Native River in the round for Pelly, and 25-1 Oscar Rock.
And cheers for that, Frank. I mean, DJ, it's been a bit of a muddling race from an anti-post perspective in inverted commas. Your view on this one?
Yeah, it's mad the way Saffield Row is getting all these headlines this week. For a horse that's probably well short of top class, both over hurdles and over fences, to be honest. But I fancied If in Doubt for this race all week. I'm delighted to hear that chasing has been shelved. The horse just can't jump. It's simple as that. And it's probably, I suppose, spoiled his career in many ways, because I think he has the potential to develop into a world hurdle candidate. I thought he was very unlucky in the Pertemps final last year. He probably should have won that. And then again, he probably makes his own luck in many ways because he's a hostage to fortune. But I thought he was unlucky again at Aintree. Was probably a little bit disappointing in Punchestown in the Grade 1 behind One Track Mind. But again, his jumping really let him down, and he kind of got detached at various stages in that race. I think he's going to be trained like a world hurdle candidate this year.
Doesn't it worry you pace-wise round Wetherby, though? Because, I mean, it looks to me that he just races really lazily as well as being clumsy.
He does, and he loses interest. I don't know, he seems to... Concentration, I wouldn't say, is one of his best attributes, but I think he has a serious engine. I think they'll go pretty quick here, Paul. I don't know what you think. I don't think they're going to hang about.
A little Rockefeller will go on, won't it?
I'd say so.
Ballyoptic won't be far away. So it'll be
Native River as well.
But Native River is surely this is a stepping stone to the Hennessy, isn't it?
Yeah,
absolutely.
So.
Yeah.
I mean, just DJ very quickly without trying to totally write you off. I mean, if in doubt, is 8 rising 9 now? Is there a case? I mean, at what point do we say, well, I mean, where does the improvement stop? If you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, if you even look at his hurdles form, I think he's ran 12 times over hurdles, and I think he's only been out with the first 3 maybe twice or 3 times. He's fairly consistent hurdler, I think, and even his form over hurdles, I think, is quite solid. I think I remember him finishing second to Fingal Bay in that Pertemps race at Exeter, and I think he was second to Saffield Row as well earlier on in his career. I just think he's a hurdler. It was so frustrating last year because...
I mean, he was, without a doubt, the unluckiest horse you will ever see at Cheltenham. It was one of the most ridiculous days of it I've ever had that day. And he just should have won.
He's the type of horse, though, he somehow manages to fight. Like, he's the type of horse, if a horse didn't fall in front of him, a bloody rail would fall in front
Yeah,
of him or something.
exactly.
He's like me in a night out. He just gets really unlucky.
He's an in-running play, though, isn't he, DJ?
He could be, yeah. I think he'll be fairly tuned up for this. I just get the impression
He'll still be off it turning for home, though. I'd have thought.
Yeah, he probably will. Yeah.
It's a race dividing opinion, put it that way. And DJ, I know you're the David De Gea of County Meath. I've been hearing about your goalkeeping exploits recently. But have you had time, despite all that kind of fame, to look through the rest of the card? Wetherby, Channel 4, anything really floating your boat?
I hope David De Gea isn't listening to that comparison. To be honest, now, unfortunately, we were beaten last week in the replay. But yeah, I love this card actually at Wetherby. It's probably one of my favourite cards. It kind of gets you really in the mood for the rest of the season. I'd be willing to give 0 Shades of Grey a chance in the 4:30. Look, he should be different. Should be a different league to them, and he probably will be a short enough price. But I think he'll probably win. I think a flat track like Wetherby with a long home straight suits him. And there was one other one that I was interested in the list at Mayor's Hurdle. I thought Miss Crick. It's blatantly obvious, really. Miss Crick, I thought, would be very hard to beat. I think she's the highest rated in the field. Alan King's horse is seeming cracking form at the minute, and I just think she's a hurdler going places.
And Kills yourself?
Yeah, Dave said very interesting card. I thought that Mayor's Hurdle was really tough, to be honest. There was a few I could have liked in it. I can see the case for Miss Crick. I came down on the side of Stephanie Francis. Now she has been doing a bit of chasing as well, as a couple of others have as well. But she really does bounce off fast ground, and if it is pretty fast up there, I think she'd be keyed right up for this, and she'll go well without being a major bet. I did like, where are we? Oh no, there was one at Ayr that I liked. That 0 Shades of Grey should be the best horse, but I did hear someone tell me that they expect quite a lot from Royal Vacation this year. Now, he's a little bit disappointed, but against a much better horse in his first chase. So I'll be sort of having a watching brief on that and nothing else at Weth.
Frank, you're a man with a plan. You getting involved or keeping your powder dry?
I'd probably keep my powder dry in Wetherby. There's one I really want to watch. He'd be a short price. It's Double W's in the first in the novice handicap chase. I was banging on about him last year in the office. I think the lads were sick of listening to me about it. But he was a bit unlucky in the novice hurdle at Catterick, where he got hampered and made up about 20 lengths to be beaten half a length. But last time he made his chase debut at Carlisle, and he was brilliant over the fences, I thought. And won easy. He's only gone up £7. He's off 135. He can definitely step up to 2.5 as well, so I wouldn't be surprised if he won tomorrow and got a mark of 140. They'd put him away for good ground and Cheltenham in March, but I'll be definitely watching him with a view to the spring.
I like it. I like that plan there, but thanks for your views then, gentlemen. Coming up after the break, we'll be having a look at Ascot.
Here's Paddy Power's latest horse racing offer. It's money back as a free bet if your horse finishes second to the SP5 in all races at one meeting today, and at one meeting every day this month. Max £25 per race, not available in shops. 18+, gambleaware.co.uk.
You're listening to the Racing Postcast. I've got Paul Keeley, David Jennings and Frank Hickey with me. Now, Ascot, there's some top action going on there as well. We'll come straight to you, Frank. Some interesting betting heats, not least in the 3 o'clock in the handicap hurdle there. I mean, how are you going about this one?
Yeah, it looks a cracking race. We're 11-4 Chittobello, 6-1 Diego de Charmille, 7-1 Stern Reuben and Cluna Cool, 7-1 Hint of Mint, 8-1 John Constable, 10-1 Modus, and we're 14-1 Bar.
Keels, is a case of Chittobello win or bust for you, is it?
Yeah, I mean, 11-4 is probably as short as I'd want to go. I was expecting him to be fav. Thing is, he won the Scottish Champion Hurdle last year, and I know a lot of people thought Cloudy Dream was unlucky, but if you look at it from when they went 2 out, he did show a nice turn of foot to go clear initially.
Just that,
if he'd been held on to a little bit longer, he might have won more easily than he did. And in any case, it was a good race. Cloudy Dream's obviously a very good horse. Next time out at Haydock, they didn't go that fast. He was held up out the back, and he got in a bit of trouble in the Swinton. He's a horse that really, really does want good, fast ground over hurdles. He's not going to get it other than in the autumn or in the spring, so he will be hard fit for this. It's a decent prize. He has to go very well. I did think Cluna Cool was going really well at Market Raisin last time when he fell.
Oh, you tipped him that day, didn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
oh, sickening.
I think he was. I do think he was going to win.
I thought he was going to win.
He's well handicapped on his best form, but I think Chittobello's just got that potential to be a good deal better than his mark shows.
His current mark, yeah. DJ, for yourself?
Yeah, listen up, lads. Now is the time to catch Modus. I think
not this thing.
You can switch off now if you want. But
every dog has its day, or every dog has its Dave.
No. I think I have some valid reasons. I hope so. Anyway, I think he's best fresh. Like to come back from whatever a year's absence to finish second to Moon Racer in the Champion Bumper, which was probably a really good renewal of the Champion Bumper that year. That's a hell of an effort, I thought. And then, he won first time out last year in Taunton, and he seemed best early on in the year. Even the day he beat Charmix at Newbury. He's rated 139. God, if you were told, when he was running in bumpers that Modus would only be rated 139 in a year or two's time. Harry Cobden taking off 3 pounds. He's going to get the fast pace. I think a track like Ascot is tailor-made for him. I think he's obviously a forgotten horse, but he's a forgotten horse. I don't think he's probably a Cheltenham horse, so you can kind of forget his run in the county hurdle last year, where look, he got detached, he looked disinterested, he never got into it. But I think Ascot is
a strong case, Dave.
Yeah.
Filling punches with confidence.
My point there was that I don't think Cheltenham is his track. I think a track like Ascot with a fast pace, where he's obviously thinks about the game a lot. I haven't heard Nichols talking about him too much, but he looks like a thinker to me. He reminds you, I suppose, in many ways, of Mr. Mole. But he's a horse that there has to be a big day in him off 139, and I just think he'll be fresh, he'll be keen. I think tomorrow could be the day for Modus, and I think 10-1 is very fair.
I just wondered if Diego Ducharmil perhaps could go well after his good comeback run. Moving swiftly on to the 3:35 Sodexo Gold Cup kills. Now, this is maximum bet time. The horse is running in the race.
Hang on a minute. As DJ is going to slag off the certainty of the day, can we let him go first?
Go on then, DJ. The honour's all yours.
No, I'm actually not going to slag off the certainty of the day, because I think he'll probably win. But my point is, I've opened the paper. I shouldn't be slagging the Racing Post, considering I work for it. But
Careful.
I've opened the paper and I've been reading online about Sapphire Daru every bloody day of the week. And I'm kind of saying to myself, if Sapphire Daru is able to make headlines every day of the week, there's something seriously wrong in England, because if Sapphire Daru was trained by Willie Mullins, he wouldn't be in his top 20 horses. So that was my point. My point is that I'm just
don't
surprised.
You remember that Hungarian sprinter? Never even ran, made the headlines week in, week out, didn't it? I can't remember.
Yeah, look, I've been part of the Sapphire Daru fan club for a long time, and this is probably his race. I agree with you, Paul. Maybe now is the time to catch him. He might be like we said about Modus. He might be best fresh, and he just disappointed a lot last year towards the end of the year.
God, without a doubt, yeah.
He was my retirement plan last year. All went bonkers, but I mean, he's £11 lower this year, isn't he? Kills.
I think at the start of the year I tipped him for the Gold Cup last year, something bonkers like that. But look,
you weren't the only one.
I think he'll probably win.
Look, the point about this horse, he has probably been overrated. Not on what he's done, but on the expectations, because you had Paul Nicholls at one point saying he had the speed of Corto Star and the stamina of Denman. Now, he obviously...
And the ability of Modus.
Yeah, exactly. But he obviously, he finished his novice chase season, which started badly, but he finished it by absolutely bolting up in a Grade 1. He went to a race pace rating 168 then, which is pretty high. Now, it might not have been the best race, but he won in a hat canter by 15 lengths.
Stuff carrying morning.
He started last season, he was 5-1 on to beat the Young Master, giving him £4 at Carlisle. And again, he did it in an absolute hat canter. He looked like the real deal. Yeah. Now, he went off favourite for the Hennessy off a mark of 163, and he jumped and travelled really well. And I don't think he stays very much past 3 miles, especially when the ground is soft like it was on Hennessy Day. And whether that race ripped the guts out of him or not, I don't know. But he went back over hurdles next time.
Never looked the same.
And never looked the same. He was beaten long before stamina or anything else could have come into the equation in the long walk, and he just never looked the same. Now, if there's a trainer capable of bringing a horse back, I mean, he brought Tidal Bay back to his best at the ages of 11 and 12. If he can do that, he can do that with a 7-year-old. And Sapphire Daru, if he went off favourite at 9-2 for a race like the Hennessy off 163, he is a certainty off 152. If he jumps round, he will win.
It's maximum bet time for kills, Frank. I mean, you must have had a bit of a headache pricing this one up this week. How are we looking?
We're 7-2 T for 2, 4-1 Sapphire Daru.
Not even favourite. It's just 6-4 shot. Go on, carry on.
6-1 a Good Skin, 7-1 Void Do. 8-1 Junction 14, and we're 10-1 Bar.
Well, it won't need to be going Bar. So it's a case of 4-1 makes massive appeal.
Listen, T for Two's a really, really nice horse who did well last year.
Right-handed track suit.
Right-handed track suits him. I think he wants soft ground. I really do think he wants soft ground, and it's going to be pretty fast out there. I'm not convinced Junction 14 will stay. Voado can half hit the odd fence. I mean, Hadrian's Approach is well handicapped on his own old form, but he walks through fences. Ace is a clumsy jumper.
It's the top of the market in Constrail.
All exposed. Right? None of them are that good. Buckhorn Timothy ran really well last time, but against Potter's Cross at Chepstow, you're not talking top class handicap.
What will the SP be, Paul? Do you think?
The SP will be 9-4.
Yeah, I thought about 2s. Yeah.
That is my guess. I think it's an absolute. If he gets round, he's a stone cold certainty.
I think to wrap this one up then, it's Safia de Roe. Forget the rest. The rest of the card, Keels.
Frank might have an opinion. Hang on, Frank.
Go on, Frank.
I'd agree that if Safia de Roe was at his best, he'd be very difficult to beat.
Disagree.
I could be way out of line here, but I thought there was one at the very bottom of Gary Moore's called Anthony that. Like on the face of it, his front wheel wasn't great, but they did say the soft ground was against him. Like he's carrying 10-1. I think he's going to end up a lot better than a 128 horse, and he's a big price. He's 25-1. I'm probably going to have a little bit each way.
I never slag anybody off for tipping a big price.
There we go. Each way alternative on that one. Now we'll throw to you then, Kills, very quickly. Anything else on the rest of the card which is jumping off the page?
Yeah, there's loads.
Go on then. Let's have.
Well, first of all, the Burn Group Handicap Chase. Now, that's a fascinating race. Yorkish has obviously gone to Dan Skelton from Mickey Hammond, and he's been smashed up in the betting since opened up, and he's going to be fairly short 5-2, something like that. He's a decent horse. Nearly all of his winning form is on soft and heavy ground, but he has got 1 or 2 runs on good ground that say he's just as good. So he'd be hard to beat. But I quite like the look of Germany Calling, and he's a good front runner, wants decent ground, and I think if he gets in a rhythm, then York is really going to have to like the ground to get past him, and he's almost a double figure price. I thought I saw.
And DJ, very quickly yourself.
Yeah, just fancy one in the bumper, Hard as a Rock for Emma Lavelle. I think they think a lot of this horse. It made its debut in a Wincanton bumper last December. Travelled like a dream, just looked all at sea, didn't know what the game was about. I think he's pretty decent. I think he'll win that bumper, Hard as a Rock.
Odd as a Rock in the 5:20. And then looking elsewhere, Frank, I mean, there's a good card at Leopardstown, let's not forget. It's the November handicap in October, as you do, for the end of the Irish flat season. What's all the talk there in the offices?
There hasn't been a whole pile.
Come on, fill me with enthusiasm.
Can't
Come on.
wait to see the Irish November handicap.
Well, we'll go to DJ.
We'd be interested to see how Renetti goes. I know he's been hammered for the last run, but geez, he was very impressive at Naas. And it could just be the key that putting him out in front is what he wants.
So is a wide draw there just give up time? Because I thought Magic Circle would be a massive player, but he's 22, I see.
Yeah, he could end up trapped wide a bit, but I haven't really done much analysis on the draw, to be honest. I did think, if the ground stays kind of a little on the good side, Golden Spear ran a very eye-catching race in the Cesarovic, and I thought he'll probably be a decent price too, with Renetti and Snow Falcon probably the ones that are going to be towards the top of the market, and I'd probably be having a play on him if he's double-figure price.
Come on, DJ, you love a big Irish handicap. Where's the money going?
Oh, I do. Oh, Magic Circle, Ed. Magic Circle.
We go.
Rafe Beckett. Look, I was fancying this horse for the Cesarovic all year, and obviously the ground just didn't come up trumps. But look, he's rated 97. I think he's a group horse in the making, a group stayer. The problem is the ground. It's yielding at the moment. I'd love to see a bit more rain for Magic Circle, because I think he is a little bit of a mudlark. He has a turn of foot on bad ground. The only thing is he has won on good ground at York, and he was quite impressive that day when he beat 2 Jabs back in July. But I'd imagine this is probably Plan B or Plan C even. I have a feeling Rafe had a few kind of bigger plans for Magic Circle, but he's booked Pat Smullen. Another problem is that he's drawn 22, but I think he's well enough handicapped to overcome that. Renetti, look, has gone up a mile in the handicap for winning by 14 lengths the last day. He won the October handicap in October. He's now trying to win the November handicap in October. But Danny Sheehy, who claims 10, he's the talk of the town over here at the moment. He's apparently the next big thing. He's only 16 years of age. He rode his first winner at Dundalk a few weeks ago. But Willie has shrewdly booked him to take £10 off. But it's a big hike. If Renetti can win this off 108, he's a fair horse, and I fancy Magic Circle.
So Magic Circle is then. Right, we're coming up then, gents. We'll be getting your best bets for the weekend, and I do not want you to be sitting on the fence.
This will not be beaten.
Paul Keeley, Saturday's best bet.
Yeah, Safidero will win the Sodexo at 3:35.
Mr. David Jennings.
Oh,
come on, cheer up.
Start like that, can you?
I can't believe we haven't mentioned the bets from last week yet.
There's still time.
Oh, it's because you had loads, didn't you? Yeah, mine went pear-shaped. Go on then.
No. I'm going to go with Magic Circle just over Modus.
Magic Circle just over Modus. Frank Hickey.
Newmarket 255.
Oh, I like it.
This will win. Really special. The time form figure put up on debut at Chelmsford was massive. This is going to win so easy. It's not going to be funny.
Come on, quick, spit it out. Barely looked at Newmarket. Go on.
He just told you. Really special.
Really
255. He ran at Chelmsford over 6.
Oh, right. I just thought it's going to be really special.
No, it is really. But I'll just give you a quick run on it. It ran the last 3 furlongs 1.2 seconds faster than everything else in the race. The mile should be no problem. This, the time form figure generated, there's very few horses run 90 or plus on debut. If it repeats or even improves a small, but the race isn't great. The variant horse probably is open. It's only had 1 win as well from 1 run, but this is going to win.
Brilliant. I love it, Frank. That's great stuff. And we'll be back in a sec for a look at the Sunday action.
Here's Paddy Power's latest horse racing offer. It's money back as a free bet if your horse finishes second to the SP5 in all races at one meeting today. And at one meeting every day this month. Max £25 per race. Not available in shops. 18+. Gambleaware.co.uk.
Got Paul Keeley, David Jennings and Frank Hickey of Paddy Power joining me now. Now, Keels, Carlisle Sunday, the best 3-runner race in the history of Carlisle Racecourse. We've got more of that. Bristol to Mai, see you at midnight. What an absolute corker.
Yeah, it is an absolutely cracking race. I mean, you can say, every one of those has got a decent chance. All depends on how fit they are, what they're up to, what the plans are. Is someone going in a handicap next time? Are they staying in graded races? We don't know. Bristol to Mai, some of you may laugh, is my potential King George horse this year.
I'm not laughing. I'm with you.
If the ground is soft, I think he's a fantastic horse. He's only young. You've got to remember he's 5. He jumps for fun. Yeah. He just goes out there and gets on with it.
He'll want a trip.
I'm sure he's going to end up wanting a trip. I mean, he is still a young horse, but he just gets on with it. And I had a look back on Raceform Interactive. He's nowhere in the league a masterminded, but he is, I think, in the last 10 years or so, the only horse, the only 5-year-old to run as big as he has in the spring of his 5-year-old campaign over fences in Britain, a mark of about 160 on Racing Plus ratings. You know what I mean? So
posting high figures,
Yeah, I think if he keeps coming on and bringing more, obviously he's running around as a juvenile herder and whatever, so he's got a few runs in the bank. But I think he's potentially very, very good. And you've got to remember that Nigel Tristan-Davis said he hopes that he's his Sprinter Sacre now. He got the trip wrong, but there is hope still that he might have the right horse. Yeah,
I'll be really looking forward to seeing him going up in trip. DJ, I mean, he's got to give £4 or more, and that is a World Hurdle winner. Obviously, bled in the RSA, as you mentioned, touched upon earlier, rather a little bit underwhelming his performance. Still, what do you reckon the plans will be with more of that going further forward? I mean, he's got an entry in the big handicap at Cheltenham coming up. They're talking about the Betfair Chase. They're talking about King George. A lot of talk, but what's the action going to be?
Yeah, I think just separating him and Manila Rocco, who I think could have plenty to offer in the stay and chase division. I suppose it'll be one of them, I'd imagine, will go down the handicap route. I'm not sure which one yet. Maybe it'll be Manila Rocco. They might try and turn him into a Welsh national type horse. But look, more of that. I did actually, I was visiting Ruby Walsh earlier on in the week for RP Sunday on Sunday. And he still thinks the performance of more of that and he didn't think any horse could ever give any power. The £7 mare's allowance. He still thinks that is a phenomenal performance, and he hasn't ran that much since then. Obviously, won his first two starts over fences, was disappointing. He bled in the RSA, but
isn't that the problem in the fact that he is fragile? The fact we don't see him running once a month.
He is fragile, but I think it's good that he's out so early. It's a good sign. They're not mollycoddling him. They want to get him out. I think more of that has more class than Bristol de Mai. I can see Paul's point, and the day Bristol de Mai won at Haydock, I was completely overwhelmed. I thought he was brilliant that day, but if the two of them bring their A, it's unlikely to be the case, but if the two of them bring their A game, I think more of that is a better horse than Bristol de Mai. I'd imagine that CEO of Midnight is not good enough, so it would probably be more of that for me, but very dodgy betting race. I'd say the market in the kind of half an hour leading up to the race will tell the story.
And Frank, looking at the rest of the action elsewhere, I mean, would you have anything for Galway or Wexford on the cards?
There was one, again, this is one where you'd want to be watching the money, but in the 325 of Galway, Copy That is running for the first time since Punchestown. I'd guess that he's still on a mark of 127, which is probably lenient enough. He's only had the 6 runs in total. He won last year at Leopardstown. He absolutely bolted up and was well backed. I think if he's ready to go, this will probably win. But you'll know by the market. If the market is strong behind it, it's one to follow.
Indeed, keep your eye on the market for that one. And DJ, very briefly, I'm being pressured for time here, but Capri is running over in Group 1 action in France. He's currently second favourite for the Derby. I mean, how do you see him faring over in Saint-Cloud?
Yeah, look, our editor over here, Richard Forrest, will put him up anti-post for the Derby in a tipping column earlier on this week. Yeah, I was surprised they skipped the Race and Post Trophy with him, and that obviously backfired. Look, he looks to have every chance. He looks a top-notch colt in the making. Just before I leave Galway, there's a couple of interesting runners. I did Gordon Elliott's stable tour, and he spoke highly of Kennelly in the first race from France. I'd say he's probably not too bad. And also Potter's Point makes his debut for Gordon in the 250 that used to be with Willie Mullins. I'd imagine both of them will probably win. And just one other horse that I think is quite well handicapped in the 220, Oscar Knight is running off 109 over fences for Tom Mullins and Mark Walsh in a handicap chase, sorry. I think he's quite well handicapped. He's only 7 and it looks a poor enough race. If their money came for Oscar Knight in that 220, I'd imagine he'd be hard to beat.
Well, gentlemen, it's been fantastic. Thanks for all those tips. We're going to have to wrap this one up. But yeah, my thanks to Paul, my thanks to DJ, my thanks to Frank as well. And join us again on Monday. Well, we'll be getting the weekend review on the Postcast.
The Race and Postcast in association with Paddy Power. They price up all UK and Irish racing the night before.